It is with humility and a heavy heart that we come before you to pronounce the indisputable reality that there is instability in ZANU-PF today, and as a result, anxiety in the country at large. The Zimbabwe Defense Forces remain the major stockholder in respect to the gains of the liberation struggle. And when these are threatened, we are obliged to take corrective measures.
Armoured vehicles are patrolling the streets of the Zimbabwean capital Harare this afternoon after the army declared overnight that it was taking control of the country. Robert Mugabe, the 93-year-old president who's ruled Zimbabwe since independence from Britain in 1980, has been confined to his home.
Madam President, Mr. Speaker, sir, overall economic performance to date indicates modest growth, particularly in the sector.
mabasa hakuna, maindustry kwacha kuna kwakavhurwa saka mara kuna kwatine one.
If you refuse to give them a bribe, they confiscate your goods. If you refuse to give them a bribe, they don't allow you to trade on a particular designated place.
Corruption is now as frequent as breakfast.
Zimbabweans have to stand up and speak out and say no to this madness.
There are 30 people inside that house and we remain silent.
We are saying we are leaders of today. We shall not wait for tomorrow, because look at how many tomorrows have already been swallowed by Robert Mugabe.
Informal economy workers now have reached a point where they've said enough is enough, and that position is not very healthy.
The Election Commission declares that Robert Mugabe has been re-elected as Zimbabwe's president with 61% of the vote. If the results hold, that will allow the 89-year-old to extend his 33-year rule.
Zimbabwe Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai dismissed Wednesday's election as a huge farce and said the results were invalid because of intimidation and ballot rigging by President Robert Mugabe's ruling party, which is claiming victory.
Zimbabwe's economic crisis has worsened this year. The cash-strapped government has been slow to pay the salaries of public sector workers, resorting to staggered pay dates for various departments. The budget deficit was expected to top $1 billion by year's end if current trends persist.
To date, an estimated 25,000 Zimbabweans have lost their jobs. Economists blame the economy while Labour blames a Supreme Court ruling last month that allowed Zimbabwean employers to fire workers by giving them only 3 months' notice with no redundancy payouts.
Zimbabwe's government says it will cut 25,000 civil servant jobs as part of plans to save $118 million in employment costs. Currently, only 10% of Zimbabweans are formally employed.
We have seen that currently the informal economy workers are so many, and they sprout into their hundreds of thousands. For example, in Harare alone, more than 100,000 street vendors ply the streets of Harare. And we are actually very lucky to have such a small number of about 100,000 on the streets, because you realize that most of them have now decentralized and they are doing their businesses in their districts, 24 districts of Harare. Zimbabwe is suffering in nearly 95% unemployment, and for that big percentage to be catered for in the informal economy, there should be room for the government to consider coming up with vending stores.
Take Zimbabweans out of the quagmire or demise that we are in right now. Change starts with you and me. If we are not doing anything to try and change the situation we are in right now, nothing is ever going to change. This notion that Zimbabweans have that I don't do politics or politics is for politicians does not make sense, because right now most Zimbabweans have got no jobs. That is politics. Most Zimbabweans are failing to make ends meet. They're failing even to have a proper meal a day. That is a result of politics. Most Zimbabweans cannot even get quality medication. That's politics. Most Zimbabweans are even failing to have proper accommodation and safe water. That is politics. Those are the result of bad governance and bad politicking. So at the end of the day, we have to start making noise and making sure that we usher in the Zimbabwe that we want.
They've reached a point where they've said enough is enough. And that position is not very healthy. government policy going in the opposite direction. Instead of supporting us, they are coming down to harm us, to beat us, to brutalize us. You know, you have seen women being grabbed recklessly by ZRP officers and municipal police officers. You know, grabbing women as if they are grabbing, you know, bags of garbage, throwing them on trucks, beating them up.
$40 yavatora handina kuya kuzorwa nawo kanzuru yakanzuru yakadirema zakachitiza kanzuru nhasi vakundiroona rona mapurisa mairi varume vairi nemukadzi mupurisa wandironongedzera nhasi andiroona wekanzuru tauya kuzonzwisa kuti sei stafu yatorwa hati mapiwa pekutengeserai tiri kubhadhara renzi yechivhenda tiri kuendesa vana kuchikoro chechivhenda takanzi titengese pekutengesera vakapa hama dzavo hatina pekutengesera pane ndapiwa tanoita kurejista pekutengesera mari kuti ndasvikira izvi zvangu zvatorwa handiri wena mapurisa handina simba iroro mari yonandibhadhara kukanzuru tinogara kupi
tirwadza yekuti votibhadharisa $3.25 tonzi tichapuwa nzvimbo tisati tambogadzirirwa tatodzingwa takutotorerwa zvinhu vanhu havakabvira kare vachitora zvinhu zvevanhu nanhasi vane misika kudzimba dzavo vane mafree market simba riri kuita kanzuru nderekutora zvinhu zvedu vanhu ivava ndavatipe nzvimbo dzavakataura tozotanga kudzimwa musirite zvino nzvimbo hatina kupiwa takatorerwa mari yedu $3.25 hapana chatati tawana pamusoro pazvakutora zvinhu zvedu pamusoro pazvo vari kurova mavhenda mukati umu imhosva here kuvavhenda tibatsirewo pakuti tinoroverwei
Zimbabwe chitipa Zimbabwe ndotamburira kupi kwatinoona Zimbabwe yavanabwa
idini Botswana
If you visit our constitution on section 13(1)(a), it encourages the government and its agencies to support self-initiatives, to support self-reliance. And this is the constitution, a supreme law. If this is in line with the blueprint of Acie, and it is also in line with their creation of 2 million jobs, why then do they come down and hammer, brutalize, disturb the processes and our efforts as informal economy workers to create these jobs? Because we've taken an initiative and said, look, we want to create the jobs. And by engaging in informal economy working, we do not say that that is the best in our lives. No, we have no choice. We are drawn into vending, not because we want to, but because the same government failed to create economic policies that would see this country going forward.
Chivhenda chakanakira kutika ndopati kuraramira weipapa ukada kuti utengo chinhu something yopaoneraramira school fees yemwanawo yopaoneraramira ipapa pachivhenda saka kana tanzi mavhenda chibve kuno tinoraramira kuti mabasa hakuna maindastry kwacho hakuna kwakavhurwa saka mari hakuna kwatinoiwana kuenda kubhawa takaona kuti hazviite asi pachivhenda ndopati kuraramira ndopane mari yedu ipapa unotengerwa dhora rako unochengetawo mhuri nedhora rako iroro raunongotengesa pachivhenda ipapa saka chivhenda chakanaka ndikaona ungaprofita kangu ke$3 ndikaseva 3, 6, 9, 12 kupera mwedzi nenda ane mari yeschool fees mwana kuti achidzingwa kumusha hapana ndikutoraramisa mwana ndega ndiri 1 saka kana asi kutonzizwa ndichipinda akombhawa amuite ndikuda kutsvaga kurarama upenyu hwangu ndakauseva zvakanaka saka ndikatotengesa kana ndichitoseva upenyu ndiseva mwana wangu nowabereki chaiyo ndokwanisa kuvatengera.
I'm a graduate engineer. I'm a holder of a bachelor honors degree in industrial and manufacturing engineering. The challenges, as I have articulated, number one is unemployment, as we are faced with this comatose economy. You know, when you're at school, you'll be so much expectant of getting a job. I think as soon as you finish, especially after having been promised by the president during their 2018 manifesto, the Zimbabweans, they promised us 2.2 million jobs. Then when you're at school, at universities, at colleges, you'll be expecting We were much expectant of these jobs, only to realize that it was a total lie. Now the industries are closing day in, day out. I think you can see massive corruption. Corruption is now as frequent as breakfast.
Unemployment issues is an issue that is very problematic in Zimbabwe. But as a graduate, I have failed to actually find employment formally, and therefore I have sought for an alternative so that I can work something out in my life. I have used the knowledge that I acquired from school, from what I studied, and also from the personal experiences and the resources that I have had, so that I can actually cope up with the situation of unemployment in Zimbabwe as well as economic hardships. So I have started a project which I work with people close to me so that I can actually make it in this life, because unemployment is very, very affecting us graduates.
As an organization, Zimbabwe Coalition for Unemployed Graduates, we are a coalition with graduates ranging from grade 7 graduates to PhDs, because we are arguing to say a decent economy should offer jobs to each and every citizen in line with your qualification. To say even a grade 7 graduate should get a job, a degree holder should get a job. As I'm speaking right now, some of the PhDs are just but loafers walking in the streets selling tomatoes. To say all the graduates, our message has been resonating with all the graduates, and they've been part of all our activities. On the 3rd of August 2016, when we took to the streets our grievances, we had a very meaningful number of partakers and activists.
Unemployment that we are currently experiencing in Mugabe. In 2013, we voted him because he promised us 2.2 million jobs. And we are saying, if there is any law that Mugabe should be charged with fraud, because he's denying us what is rightfully ours. I thank you.
This gown was a campaign where we were saying, after graduating, we expect to get something, we expect jobs, we expect a meaningful economy in a country. But being graduates ourselves, having graduated, and I think the gown represents a graduate. We were saying, as graduates, we are not getting an opportunity in our own country. Therefore, the gown itself has lost significance and meaning.
Asi izvezvo akatovhurwa buchari. Ini nekupasa kwangu handina kana buchari kana tuckshop. Saka chatirongokumbirawo ndechekuti tigadzirirwe mukana wekuita mabasa. Tiwane mukana wekuti kana tichivhura mabhizinesi zvisati dhurire. Handina $250 ekuvhura kambani ini. Ndoda kuita South Africa vaita $15. Saka hakusi kuti tine usimbe. Asi kuti tirikuti vanokwanisa vacho vari kutungamira. Tichakutiwane mabasa. Kuwanikwa kwamabasa zvinoreva kupera kwecorruption. Zvinoreva kupera kwemapolicy inconsistency. Mukaona ndawana basa zvoreva kuti nyika yedu yanaka. Handingafi ndawana basa nyika isina kunaka.
In Indonzi schools, street name. Ndoshanda panapa Simexmo. Saka madhirando ita ndotengesa mafoni. Hativhare vanhu, hatitesei mafoni zedu atori mafoni chaiwo anenge toita tohodha totenga from some people, then we resell. Saka people think vakachiona tiri mastreets muno vanofungidza kuti pamwe toita zvokubira vanhu ngata sei. Hatibire vanhu. Basa redu ritori basa just like any other job. Nongoshandwa navanhu. Saka tinoona tichienda mumberi hatitombowisha kubuda mastreets. Ndomatitoda.
Yeah, Sarah unonzi tinashe aka Neganja, right? In the babasa and bopana batiri banaba, formerly known as makes more pakasus kwa podcast ya magone, eginus kapa kemurgone rumashu wangu. But nobody to grab big grade tripana, nobody need to marmaisia. Murizi ruma denu go to chingeta ni mara tunuanaji tripana papa street and it have been a hustler since 2006. Ndrim street in Chita, Chita Chitenge, so Chita say panapa basaredu and tunoselo ma gadgets and afana ma phone, ma laptops, ma TVs and tungone ma TV mangakuru na emote card nukwasa ngomaita and because ndu basara tunogono but normally vanokatuona pana panofunga pamwe tudakubira vanhu trimatsotso something they label us as criminals but we're not criminals.
Isu streamer hustlers, we are not vendors. So there's two different things between a vendor and a hustler. Hustler munhu anenge achingo tsvaga munhu asikamiri kutsvaga. Pana vanhu patinosangana but tokunotoona futi kana tiri kana kuna ango kuti tsvaga zvatiri kutsvaga tidzokepo pano. Kana tokunotofona unzi mota iri kudiwa kana kuavondiwa tokunotoenda nemota kuavondiwa kana mafoni atinotenga.
Chauya chirera munhu akamasitate kutengera mama banana maepple arusurudo utsinye ndo sabotage. Chauya chirera murwere wese ane shuga ne PPT cancer mouse asthma ne stroke ne AIDS. Chekorese gono kana gadzi asingakandira chikandira. Chibereko zvinengura zvichisukwa. Tengera mama banana maepple arusurudo utsinye sabotage. Dambudziko ratikusangana naro nderekuti isusu tiri kudzingwa patachisenzera. Inini ndiri kapenda. Gore rino ndirechitwe ndichisenza ndiri muno mukwadzana one home industry. Saka pane zvino zvitakunzi chishifta yemuchero kumberi kwachona futi chapedza futi tichidzingwa chinzi edzikai kuzasi. Saka isusu kodzero dzedu hatisi kuona dzichikosheswa sezvizvarwa zvemuno muZimbabwe. Takutoita kunge maforena apo tiri munyika medu muno muZimbabwe. Saka hatizivi kuti kodzero dzedu vari kudzionawo here kana kuti havadzioni. Kana kuti havari kudzikoshesa here kana kuti havasi kudzikoshesa. Chatiri kutoona nje kuti havasi kudzikoshesa because vari kungoswera ichitonga vamwe vanokurudzira indigenization vamwe vanouya vachiparadza indigenization. Saka hazvina zvinoreva hatina kwatiri kutomboenda neZimbabwe yacho.
Takangoona pauya tsamba yakabvawo kanzi inzi this place yakatengwa kudhara kwaitanzwa kuti home industry yese handiti but takazonzwa kuti home industry yagurwa imwe side run mastands and mastands and housing cooperative inonzi Chombouta. Saka takamboedza kunyorawo matsamba tichiendesa kumusoro kuti tiedza kurwira nzvimbo yedu but zvakashaya basa kusvika tazonyorerwa tsamba yakanyorwa musi wa4 ichinzi notice but notice yacho tatonzi kusvika musi wa9 October tofanira kunga tatodisappear pana. Saka takatopiwa itonzi 48 hours notice because tsamba yakazoverengwa uri musi weFriday ichinzi musi weMonday tofanira kunga munhu wese adisappear panzvimbo panapa. Handisimbofara nedanho rakatorwa nekanzuru rekutiisa panzvimbo petanga tishandira isusu. Izvo zvitinongokwira nekudzika pamusana pavo. Pamwana matakura endakaita zva nditoremerwa nebasa handisimbofara nazvo. Pakaitwa hora pamwedzi wakupera tasaimuone kuti tinotambira dzipi manje kana mwedzi wapera chingotambiswa ngonyangonya chikwira nekudzika. Apa matiri kwapa $10 kanzu mwedzi wega wega. Pedze zvoti pakuti manotice ekuti bvai wachingotengesana pachawo nekuti Chombouta amene tinombota ndiani. Kwezisi toraramira kupi zvimakati pandiwa indigenization ndiyo yakaindira zviye yatukita asi manga tingodzinganisa dzikanisa.
Nhau yedu yatakasiya tataura iyaya na honorable vachiti vada kuti vazosangana nesu futi na Mr. Mangwiro vese necouncil, but unfortunately phone ya Mr. Mangwiro haisi kubatika. Zikuti unobva tiri kukwanisa kuti tidaida haisi kubatika phone yacho and inoratidza kuti yakatodzimwa. Saka honorable wati unganzai vanhu ndingoti kunyange wasinyaripo vanhu wachona ndotaura nawo tonzwa zvamune zvinobuda pano. Saka ndingangoti ndingoisa mumaoko mawo vakurumidze kuti tione kufamba.
Pamusoro madzishema mamukaseko nemadzimai ari pano. Ndanzwa kuti kansela vana kubatika hazvina hazvo kushata. Tisanyanyopedza nguva yedu yakanyanya. Kubva patakabva pano paya ndakabatana nameya ndikabatana naclerk wecity council ndikavataurira including vana mai Mandoza ndakavaudza kuti nyaya iyi yamaoko mangu saMP wenzvimbo, saka kusvikira tapedzerana ngapasawanikwa matsamba anogona kunyorwa kana kuti chingagona kuda kuitwa panyaya yekuhome industry. Meya akawira neni akati tazvinzwa tichitaura naclerk ndamuudza kudaro. Saka patirike zvinezvi ndepekuti kusvikira tadzoka kuti ngapachiva nekufamba kwakati hakuna munhu anomuvha kana kuti anomuvha. Kana paita ani zvake anenge auya pano kana riot kana ani munotishedza ndouya papi pano.
Vakachichidzirwa kunze anenge asvika musomanda asina kuonekwa ari kuzosungwa tiri kumuendesa kukotu. Munhu anenge anoonekwa achiripo achasungwa. Saka nyaya yekuti achasungwa iyo ndiyo yakatiza vanhu vakatiza nyaya iyoyo.
Uko hatina kumbobva nemwoyo wekuda takatobva nekutochikidzirwa.
Chandoda chokuti mimi moyo yenyu ngairege kumanikidzwa. Tendai kuna MP wenyu. Handiti mazvizwe
We have got, in a country 37 years after independence, we are still faced with the same problems that took us to a liberation struggle. We are talking of injustice, bipartisanship. For you to be recognized as a citizen in a country, you have to affiliate to a political party, something which we fought against. You have to be Zamp for you to get an opportunity. That is wrong.
We condemned corruption. We condemned abuse of public funds by office bearers who are in position. We went down to discuss these issues in an amicable way. We tried to seek dialogue with the vice presidents so that we can discuss some of our problems as vendors and how we are being affected by extravagant expenditure of money, similar to the one that the vice president Pelekezi Lampoko was doing at Rainbow Towers.
Pelekezi Lampoko is not allowed to use our money illegal. That is a high-level corruption using political power. Yes. Today we are saying we are finding him packing from this hotel and going back home. We spent $3.5 million for him on a house. He is refusing to stay in that house worth $3.5 million with so many bedrooms. Bedrooms far much bigger than the bedroom is staying at the hotel. And at this point, I am warning Zimbabwe Republic Police not to interfere with our civic rights. Yes. the Zimbabwe Republic Police interferes with our civic rights, we will declare this hotel shut from now on until Mpekezela Mpoko leaves this hotel. We are not compromising for less. We are not even budging. I urge riot police coming over there to behave like human rights, human beings. We have a right to demonstrate. We have a right to petition. Yes. We actually are protected by our constitution on section 59. If the riot police thinks that we are going to budge in, that is an impossible task. Riot police, if you behave carelessly, this hotel is going to break. We are not going to compromise police. Gentlemen, be prepared. Let's hear what they want to say. This is about Vice President Mpekezela Mpoko, who is illegally staying in this hotel on the 17th floor. Unless you want us to behave humanly, riot police must not be part of this process.
We decided that we are going to take a step further to give the Vice President Mpekezela Mpoko 7 days to vacate Rainbow Towers. We had made a resolution that we were prepared and ready to be killed by presidential guard at Rainbow Towers because we felt enough was enough and enough is enough.
Then if you want to recklessly do it, we'll make sure that this hotel shuts down. That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen.
Don't worry, I don't know boss. I just Randy.
Why did the Vice President fail to recognize that we visited his offices several times, trying to explain to him amicably that he was spending nearly $2,000 a day, when our toilet at Copacabana is not functioning? So as street vendors, we haven't got a toilet to use at Copacabana. It's not functioning. Our toilet at Charge Office is not functioning. Our toilet at 4th Street is not functioning. Our toilet at Market Square is not functioning. Our toilet, Kona in Kwame Nkrumah and Chinoi, is not functioning. And the toilets that I've mentioned do not even require $2,000 to get them repaired. They possibly require $2,000. If we put the worst case scenario, they require $4,000 to get them repaired. 2 days expenditure that the Vice President was using at Rainbow Towers. So it affects us as street vendors. It affects citizens of Zimbabwe who are failing to get a Panadol, which is worth less than 1 cent. 1 cent. Thank God he finally vacated the hotel. Not within 7 days though, because he's a bit stubborn. He's rude. He does not even appreciate that we are his employer.
I will speak about the debt. The debt that is happening everywhere. They are stealing our monies and we remain silent. There are dirty people inside that house and we remain silent. What do we do? What do we do when it gets dirty like this? Huh? What else can we do? What else can we do in this country? It's all dirty and dirty and dirty. It's getting dirtier every day. When they arrest small fish and leaving the bigger fish roaming around our streets, that is the dirty that we are talking about. That is the dirty that we talk about. When nothing happens in this country. When people steal and nothing happens, that is the dirty that I will be talking about. This is the dirty that we are talking about. Getting dirty each and every day. And we will not be silenced. We will not be silenced until the dirty moves away from that house. What I want here today is to tell the MPs that they should arrest everybody who has actually been implicated in corruption.
Activism come in many ways. Some do their activism quiet, just seated quietly. Some do their activism on social media. Some do their activism in form of protest. Some do their activism in different ways of action. And activism is one way to communicate with the government. And activism is a method through which citizens can communicate grievances to the government.
That I'm talking about. That's the date that I'm talking about. Hello? Hello? But it is 51 meters away from Parliament. Just know what I'm saying. Huh? Really problem. Really problem. Even if I'm going to die, so I'm going to find. Musa enda parandi. Musa enda parandi. I'm talking about dirty people in this country. People who are actually getting dirtier each and every day. Stealing money from Zimbabwe. I am away from Parliament. What is required exactly? What is required exactly? Huh? People are stealing from us each and every time. Are you away from Parliament? Are you away from Parliament? Are you away from Parliament?
I feel people often don't understand the power of arts and the power of culture. What we call cultural activism. You know, the power of using culture in order to achieve, social and political goals. Of course, it's difficult. It's difficult to measure. It's not. You can't say. 200 people attended a concert and were inspired, and each of them went home and changed their communities by doing A, B, and C. But I think there's a power in culture. There's a power in using the spoken word and hip hop and using music in communicating to people. I think that youth today would much rather go to a concert than go to a political rally, because our music speaks a message to the youth that is on the same level with them, whereas politicians the world over belong to a class detached and cut off from people. So for us, it's also a powerful means of communication, because already you've created a space where people feel part of it, and they believe in what you're communicating.
Walk in the streets every day, no job, no pay. From city to Masasa, Shikansi, Apanabasa. How would you feel if you got a raw deal? No school, no university, no job, no opportunity. Let them come down here, see what it's like year after year. They put on their cocoa butter while we spread out in the gutter. Iwo wanedzimba, isusu, tinecha pomba. Iwo wanenda stars, isusu, tinoatengesa. We try to hustle.
So this is what we do through performing. We try and communicate these messages, because for us it's like, of course a concert isn't going to change the world, a concert's not going to overthrow a dictator, but I think social change is way beyond an election. It's way beyond parliament. It's about just trying to get those messages across to the youth that attend, to the audience that comes through the shows, to make them start questioning things.
Anti-Mugabe supporters have vowed to hold more protests, spurred on by rising public anger over an economic meltdown.
Protesters want international observers to monitor the ballot in 2018, fearing it will be rigged. Activists have warned that this was just the first in a series of protests.
as activists, of course, we were not very successful. But what we did brought into every citizen the understanding that there is need for collective, collaborative intelligence and association and partaking in the general patriotism of our country. So as activists, we managed to achieve in that we verbalized our feelings very well, and we managed to raise consciousness in each and every citizen.
We have seen that keeping quiet about abuses is participating in those abuses. In other words, we have realized as vendors and informal economy workers that if we remain silent, we are helping the oppressor.
President Robert Mugabe has warned there'll be no Arab Spring in Zimbabwe after protests against his decades-long rule turned violent. The so-called mega demonstration was held in Harare amid opponents' outrage that the 92-year-old is standing for re-election.
You can't urge people to adopt violent demonstrations as the way of life or the way of solving grievances. No. We will say no. Forever no. Let the opposition parties and all those angling for chaos and mayhem and violent demonstrations be warned that our patience has limits.
A crackdown against protests in Zimbabwe intensifies with the arrest of prominent pastor Ivan Mawarire. He has been charged with inciting public violence. Mawarire is one of the organizers of recent protests calling for a change of government.
Can we do that together? Yes! Gather in groups and pray peacefully for Pastor Ivan. He is a pastor. That's what he would like us to do. Let's seek the highest power that there is. His name is Jesus. Yes, Jesus is our higher power. Gather together. Let's pray.
God, we just pray and raise up our prayers that God, you're a Father who loves, Father, you're a Father who hears.
Amen. Vatinocherechedza kuti isu sevanhu venyama hatina masimba anobva patiri. Asi imi murisa masimba. Makatosika nyika ino nevanhu vese vari mairi. Avo vari kutishungurudza baba. Vana venyu vane misikanzwa. Mambo faro sunungura manayo. 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 Mambo faro. Muchamunika. Muchamunika. Mtupinza Yesu.
We remain in the darkness, in dark about what will happen tomorrow. If they are to hear of this freedom of expression that I'm exercising right now is enshrined in the Constitution, they will start hunting for me. We are in a country where a citizen is not allowed to speak out. We are in a country where a citizen is supposed to shy out and embrace this level of a black colonialism.
Chandingangokumbira kana muine wani mutauri ngaangomira pambotaura zvamuri kunyaya dzenyu nhuna dzakamira sei toedza kupindura. Ndiri pano ndine mamakandira mairi matatu akanditsigira, saka ndipewo spokesman wenyu angotudza kuti makamira sei.
Tauya kuzogunun'una neuori huri kuitwa watanzwa huri kunyorwa mumapepa wekuti mari hatisi kuziva kuti dziri kufamba sei. Pane mari dzakawanda dzinosvika 6,000 dziri kupiwa vanhu kuti vaende kumaholiday. Pane mari dziri kunzi dze-school fees, kozoti top management vari kupiwa mari yakawandisa, asi service delivery isiri kufamba zvakanaka. Mvura hakuna, marara haasi kutakurwa, migwagwa haina kumira zvakanaka, asi mari yakawanda iri kupiwa kuvakuru vakaita sana Josephine Ngube. Saka sevagari tiri kutaura kuti izvozvo hatisi kuzvida, zvinhu ngazvigadziriswe zvakanaka. Kana munhu atadza kuita zvakanaka ngaangoteera vamahati. Meya ndo nyaya dzatiri kutaura idzodzo kuti zvinhu ngazvigadziriswe. Hatikudi munhu
They are the ones who have brought instability in our country, and they don't want to take ownership for the destruction that they did in this country. When activists want to speak out, and when we come out and try to push as a pressure group that they change their ways or how they are treating the citizenry in Zimbabwe, they decide to unleash propaganda and a reign of terror on innocent citizens and activists. But at the end of the day, our people should understand that activists are there to mount pressure on the regime to change its ways, or for us to push for regime change.
At least 6 Zimbabwe activists were abducted and some of them beaten up as heavy police presence in Harare prevented planned protests on Friday against President Robert Mugabe's government. 3 of the activists were admitted to hospital after being abducted by unidentified men who dragged them out of their cars.
The security agents opened fire. I then was blindfolded and manhandled before being bundled into one of the trucks.
When I got abducted in 2009 when I was staying in Bulawayo, I was told I was missing for 3 days because I think they dragged me. I really don't have that much memory about what happened that time. But after that time I just said, if I got abducted and came out alive, nothing else will happen to me.
What we are doing, is to start to harvest the voice of the people. What do people want? What do people see? Because sometimes there's a tendency, sometimes people, maybe not all politicians, some politicians, I won't mention which ones, but sometimes some politicians think that people are stupid and they don't think. But it's just we know sometimes what we want. Because remember, we are the ones that live this life. And so we know where it hurts and we know where it needs to be fixed. Am I right? But if you come across a nation where the nation is built and the people or the citizens of that nation are not allowed to speak or are not allowed to build, that nation is not a true representation of what it should be. In fact, that is what we call oppression.
This approach, elitist, will not take us anywhere. Let's get a cookie version, kumajecha, kupabek, kumauswa. If we are to bring a meaningful change, we have to engage the grassroots. For some time, we've been part of the system, we've been there. We know what it takes to win an election, what was involved, who is involved, doing what.
I think the issue that we need to look at and address quite seriously is the fact that we are failing to come together as Zimbabweans. We are failing to unite for a common cause. It doesn't matter whether we are in a ghetto, we are in the rural areas, or we are in the burbs. We have to come together as a people and agree that we have a common enemy and we need to cut the enemy's head off. That's what we need to do. We need to understand that ZANU-PF is resilient. If we take a knock, we need to pick ourselves up. I appreciate you, Pastor Ivan, for getting up and getting back on the horse. A lot of people expected you not to, but you're back at it. And that's what we need to do. Stand together and keep on coming back. No matter how many times we're taken down, we keep on coming back. Thank you.
That is an amazing compliment. Let me tell you something. So, Chachela and Nasa is saying, the truth of the matter, let's look each other square in the eyes and tell each other the truth. We're failing to come together.
At this stage in my life, I don't have any fear. I've gone through everything.
I managed to destroy the infrastructures and megastructures, superstructures of fear that have been well imposed and that are deep-rooted in us as citizens by the reason of Robert Mugabe's government.
I have no fears because I'm not doing this for myself. It has gone beyond my person. I am doing what I am doing for the future of the young generations, for the future of the unborn. I am doing this to create this future that will see your child enjoy.
I've been arrested, assaulted, incarcerated. They even went to the extremes of putting me in a male prison in solitary confinement just to try and kill my spirits. But it didn't kill me. It actually made me stronger. And I realized that no, I've got a generational mandate to ensure that we have to bring in new leadership and let this dictatorship fall.
I shall never be moved by fear. Because I know that for change to come, even the World War was fought by ordinary people.
I am not intimidated and I am not even fooled to believe that one day I'll back down and say the government of Zimbabwe is then threatened me. I should cease to do what I am doing because of their threats. That is not going to happen. And for certain, I am clear that I am defined by the passion.
My humble plea to all Zimbabweans is let's unite. What unites us is greater than what divides us. We need a just Zimbabwe. We need a fair Zimbabwe. Everyone needs a proper job. Our children need proper education. We all need proper healthcare. But we can only attain that when we are united in our diversity, when we remove our ego jackets and start working together for one broader national goal, which is having a better Zimbabwe without ZANU-PF.
Zimbabwe has seen a language from citizens that they have participated in the 2016 protest, 2016 activism across political divide. We have now united against the common enemy as citizens across political divide. The way forward is for Zimbabwe to have a comprehensive reform agenda that will see elections conducted in a democratic and peaceful way.
The reason why we are standing in the streets speaking against misgovernance is that I believe that this country will do very well. I believe in a better Zimbabwe.
The way out in Zimbabwe, firstly, all opposition party leaders should take off their ego jackets. and work together. They should unite and form a great coalition which will ensure that votes are not divided towards the 2018 elections. So long the opposition political party leaders cannot unite, it shows that they do not care about the welfare of the people and they only care about power.
If we come together and face our own devil, we will definitely overcome. I believe that the power of love always beats the love of power.
Armoured vehicles are patrolling the streets of the Zimbabwean capital Harare this afternoon after the army declared overnight that it was taking control of the country. Robert Mugabe, the 93-year-old president who's ruled Zimbabwe since independence from Britain in 1980, has been confined to his home.
They've said no to a dynasty, and it's clear. Even the government employees are cheering. The soldiers are cheering. The police are out of work and they are here with us.
I'm just happy. As for me, I'm just happy. Thank you, Baba Chiwengwa. Thank you. Thank you, Baba. Mugabe's rule is finally over. He has to accept that people across the racial divide, they are united, that he has to go. And we are saying now, Mugabe, your time is up. Go. We are very much grateful to General Chiwenga and the army. They stand by the people. And we say, General, well done for liberating us from this evil man.
I, Robert Gabriel Mugabe, hereby formally tender my resignation as the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe with immediate effect.
Emerson Mnangagwa, swear that I will be faithful to Zimbabwe and obey, uphold, and defend the Constitution and all other laws of Zimbabwe.
Emerson Mnangagwa is now the president of Zimbabwe. What can we expect from him going forward? Will there be a great deal of change, or will it be more of the same as the country has been seeing since independence in 1980?